Hi everyone, and welcome back to the ScrapbookPal YouTube channel. Sarah Wiles here today, and we are going to be using Spellbinders Garden Parasol, Black-Eyed Susans, and a plaid embossing folder to make a card. Here I am going to go ahead. I took the time to cut these out before I started filming, so you didn't have to watch that. This is a little piece of gold cardstock that I used and cut out the tip of the umbrella or the parasol so that I could get that very end little piece off of there and put it on the end of my umbrella so it had a golden tip on it. I was also showing you there the score lines. When you cut that parasol out, it has score lines for you to go ahead and fold that so that you can pop it up and it's open so you can put things inside of it. Here I am going ahead and adhering that little gold piece to the end of the umbrella. I'm not sure what that's called. I might need to Google that. I also cut out the handle of the umbrella in gold as well. I am using a blue for the base of my card, and for the actual front panel, I just used white cardstock and ran it through the plaid embossing folder. And I'm adding Scor-Tape around this because I do know that with the texture and stuff, sometimes it can be harder to adhere. So I went ahead and used quite a bit of that. I don't want it to be coming off or anything like that when I mail it. So I'm going to go ahead and add that. I try to make sure that I get it even. And then I will go ahead and stick that down. Here I am pulling out and showing you a little square. It's a 1/2 inch and about 2 inches long, and I scored it to where it was only, it may not even be 2 inches long, but I scored it to where it was about 1/4 inch on the top and on all sides. Well, the sides are a little higher, but I wanted to be able to pop the handle up from the umbrella so that I could slide some of the flowers underneath it while I was making the rest of the front of the card. So here you see me going ahead and adhering that. I wanted to make sure where it was going to sit inside the parasol on the card. And here I'll also pull a piece of tape and tape over the top of it. So while it's, the glue's drying, it stays still. But this way it pops up off the card. And here I'm going to go ahead and add some glue to the edges where it's meant to. So I can go ahead and adhere it down to my card. I'm going to hold it for a second, make sure no glue comes out from underneath. And it tacks pretty fast, so I'm not really worried about that. I'm messing with the handle a little bit, and here is where I go to messing with the flowers. I am going to pull out my Kitsch Flamingo Distressed Oxide, and I am going to ink the centers of these. It doesn't put a ton of color, but it puts a little bit of a, just a little bit of a shadow, because the center of a lot of flowers are a bit darker. I know that these are supposed to be Black-Eyed Susans, but I wanted to go with a little more color. I think Black-Eyed Susans are gorgeous, and they're all over here wild where I live, and I love it. Not this time of year, obviously, but I'm going to go ahead and ink the center of each of these with the Kitsch Flamingo, and then I'll switch it up and use Fossilized Amber for the center of the yellow ones. It's just this way I have a little bit of a different definition in the center since I'm going to make them all 3D. And I'm also going to stack them together. That's why there are so many of them, is because I'm going to glue them together and stack them so that there is a little more dimension to them and there's not like missing pieces within the flower, so it doesn't look like they're really missing petals. So I just continue on like this. I'm fixing to be done with the inking part, and I will put this to the side. And then I am going to, I'm going to go ahead and use one of my little tools and make them to where they kind of bunch up a little bit before I start gluing them together. I'm just going to go ahead and roll through every single one of these. It really doesn't take that long. I have a piece of foam and I just go ahead and roll them, and then I'll grab the yellow ones and do the same thing. It does not take very long, and it actually adds quite a bit to it. And in the end, I also, after everything's glued together, I also kind of bend the leaves up a little bit, because it just adds a little more definition and it kind of looks a little more real, even though these are patterned and flowers aren't actually patterned, Here I'm going ahead and gluing these together. I'm making sure they alternate so that there's a leaf in between where the petals are not on, one or the other. And I'm using my little tool there to go ahead and make sure that they connect really well in the centers and stick down. So I will finish this. This actually only makes 5 flowers per color. But like I said, I wanted them to be a little more full instead of as sparse if you do them one by one. And actually on the die, it suggests that you cut out 2 at a time. Or that you use 2. It says 2x on them. And the leaves say, you know, they give you an estimate of 2 to 3, you know, cut them out 2 to 3 times, just so you have extra things to embellish with. If you see up top, I also have more gold stuff in that little container up there, and I am fixing to pull the leaves out and separate them. And these are the centers of the flowers. They are teeny tiny little stars. Honestly, these little bitty pieces will work great for confetti. I thought about that when I was rolling the centers of these. I'm using a really small one this time, my stylist, and pushing down in the centers, because if you've seen Black Eyed Susans, the little centers are teeny tiny little pieces all together. And I decided to use gold for that. So here I am just pushing down and rolling on each and every one of them. So I went ahead and did that. But seriously, that I can also see using the little stars or the centers of the flowers. I'm calling them stars now. I can see using the centers of these flowers for confetti as well. The cardstock that I'm using right now with the gold, though, it is craft on one side and gold on the other. So I wouldn't use this one probably, but they're just so cute. And when you start rolling them, they just bunch right up. And here in a minute, when I am done rolling these, you'll see me start putting them all together in the center of the flowers. And I love the way these flowers look when you finally get them put together. They're just so cute. Definitely liquid adhesive on the inside. And don't worry about putting too much. Make sure that you have a little bit of time to let them dry. I honestly, you'll see here in a few minutes, I don't even really let them dry. I go ahead and work through here. You'll see me put a circle in the center of it of liquid adhesive, and then I poke my little stylus in the end of into the glue, and then I start poking it in and adding these tiny little pieces to the center of the flowers. And it may not look like I'm adding much, but in the end, they look so cute. And as long as you have that adhesive in there, and it doesn't matter that it shows a little white, as long as your glue dries clear, you'll be just fine. I really didn't think that I was going to use as many of these little pieces. I thought I would kind of get annoyed with it. But the way they turned out looking, it's too cute. So I used pretty much every single one of these teeny tiny little pieces that you see there. And I only had to cut it out a couple of times because in the die cut pack, there is actually quite a few that it cuts out at one time. So you only need to cut it out a couple times for it to, be able to be used for all of the flower centers. So I'm going to finish up the last 4 here. And it's as soon as I'm done with that, I will go ahead and start moving on with everything else. So like I said, I don't let them dry long, but if you use the Tombow mono multi glue, the liquid glue, it dries pretty quick. And so, just sitting those over there while I'm doing the other ones, it's drying and it works well. So I stick a lot of my glue in these little bottles. They may not always be labeled correctly anymore, but I stick my glue in there because then I can get them into a finer little detailed area and still use my favorite glues. So here I'm finishing up with the last flower. I set them aside and pull my card out. You see me just kind of pull on the end of the umbrella to see. And you're going to see me start sticking adhesive or glue on the backs of these. I sat that pink one on top of the block that I had put in to pop the handle up. And it fell off when I put the second one in. So I'm going to have to adjust that. I'm going to actually add a 3D foam in there just to kind of pop it up a little bit. And then I'm going to add another one because I wanted it to be able to have room to go ahead and add more flowers, but I didn't want it to block everything off. So I went ahead and did that and made sure that those stayed down. I glued them as well. I'm sitting here fussing with them. This is more of a me issue than anything else. It doesn't take much to get this stuff adhered down or glued or anything. I'm very particular about how I want certain things. And like I said, I wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to block other things from being able to be stuck down. See, there I am again. I went ahead and pulled that one out, and I'm going to stick it back down in there again. And I'm going to adhere another one, at least one more flat in there. And then I am going to go ahead and start pulling my scissors out, and I am going to trim these, because you could leave it like this. You could leave it with just a couple of the flowers in the top, and that's fine. It looks pretty, but I wanted a lot of them in there. And with the fact that this gives you so much area to go ahead and put things inside this umbrella, I figured I would cut some of the end ones off and, you know, a side of the flower off, and just go ahead and start tucking them here and there. It takes a little bit of the dimension out, but it also allows you to tuck them underneath other flowers without having, you know, to cut everything up. So I go ahead and I do that because I like the way it looks so full. When you pull the leaves out, they have a line down the center as well. So what I'm doing is I'm going ahead and bending them up on the score line. And I'll do that to all of them. I think I use all of them, but just a couple. And then I just add a little adhesive on them and I start sticking those in as well. I don't use those last 3 flowers. Like I said, I used quite a few on this. Even cutting them, it still just adds so much dimension and it's so pretty. But here you'll see me sticking the leaves down inside, not just on the outside up by the umbrella or anything, but I will go ahead and tuck some down inside and use my little tool there and make sure I push it down so it adheres down to something. And right there, I think it looks good. This is the end of this card. I think that on the inside is where I'll do most of my writing. I really didn't want to take away from the pretty card on the outside. So I really hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that you are inspired to go ahead and grab this and create one yourself. Thank you so much for watching the video. And if you enjoyed this, please make sure to like and subscribe to Scrapbook Pals so that you're notified when new videos are uploaded, and make sure to check out the blog as well. Thank you so much for watching. You have a great day. Bye.